Hello, friends. Today we are here to start our lecture series for CLAT 2026 preparation. Together, we are going to work on the English section and we are going to ace the section by the end of this lecture series. But before we directly get into the English section, I want to present a strategy in front of you. So, with that, we are going to start on how to approach the exam. Now, why do we even need a strategy before starting the exam? There's this quote by Abraham Lincoln that goes like this: Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first four sharpening the axe. Now, Mr. Lincoln is not lazy. So, the understanding of this quote is that when you have to undertake a big task, it's very important that you invest a good amount of time and energy in preparing for that task. So, when you start the task, you have a very clear roadmap of how you'll go about it, how you'll take each and every step so you manage to reach your goal. So the metaphor here that spending first 4 hours in sharpening the axe means that you will spend a good amount of time and energy in preparation, that once you start chopping the tree, you just cut it in the least amount of efforts and you have the best roadmap to reach to your goal. So many students, they try to jump straight into studying. Even when I was younger, I used to feel like, if I have 10 hours, why not spend those 10 hours in, covering the topics rather than just like spending time on the strategy videos. And I had to pay heavily for it. It took me some time to understand that strategy is very important. It's like without strategy, it's almost like chopping a tree with a dull axe. And it will require a lot of energy, it will require a lot of time, and you might still not be able to reach your goal. So we should use our time and energy very efficiently, and for that we need to have a strategy. Okay. Now, approach to preparation. So CLAT examination is not about memorization, that there are some years like in history or some formulas like in chemistry. And so the CLAT examination, it does not reward rote learning. It tests your reasoning skills. So you cannot just, prepare some kunji or some sort of charts in which you write formulas like a lot of you might have done for your board examinations. Those kind of things are not going to help. You have to have a very good reasoning skill to be able to ace this exam. So it's almost like learning to drive. So even after learning the rules of the road, the first few drives, they feel a little awkward. Like you know what the traffic rules are, you know which is the clutch, which is the brake, how to, go with the steering, but you just cannot start driving the very next day. So when you start driving the next day, it will feel awkward that, this is how it goes, this is the brake, this is the clutch, and yet you're not very comfortable the next day or even the next to next day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, or so on and so forth. You'll eventually grow into it. So similarly, understanding CLAD strategies, they'll take their time. So, just be patient about it. Now, the new techniques, they may feel slow at first, that you'll be like, oh, I can do it on my own. Why do I have to understand the question type or the solution type or the trap? I can just do it. So initially they might feel like they're taking you through a longer route, but these strategies are gonna help you once you automate them. So strategies in the books, they are very essential. You do not have to skip them, but at the beginning they will seem complicated. So be prepared for that also. You'll feel like, why so many steps? You'll feel like they're slowing you down. That's all right, but you just have to keep practicing them. You have to focus on mastery and not immediate scores. So if you come across the concepts that I'll teach you in the class, just try to imbibe them, try to practice them, and develop a mastery on those skills, and eventually it will be reflected in your scores. Initially, do not worry about time, do not worry about scores. Just try to get a clarity of your concepts. And how you can do this? Practice. Practice until your concept becomes almost automatic. It's almost like when you start going up a step, you take one step, two step very slow, and you realize, okay, now I have to take step like this, now like this. But you've practiced enough, no, you're just going up and down the step and you don't even realize each and every step. It's almost like it's automated. All right. So you have to practice, keep practicing the concepts. Now, you have to focus on accuracy before the speed. The time pressure in the examination is very real. I mean, everybody knows about it, and there is so much nervous energy in the examination hall that even in the hall, everything becomes, it feels like the time is passing so fast, everything is going on at such a fast phase. And even when you'll be sitting at your own home also, once you have the question paper in front of you, you'll feel that nervous energy. So time pressure is very real, but you don't have to rush initially. So in the first, maybe first 1 month or few days, until and unless you develop a grip over examination, sorry, over the concepts, just don't rush. You have to understand that where, if it's an initial phase of preparation, things will go slow. You have to understand the concept first, the question types, the strategies, what type of question required, what strategies. So like I emphasized in the previous slide also, mastery comes before speed. Don't worry about the clock. Don't worry about the speed in the first phase of your preparations. Once you've internalized the methods, you can gradually introduce time based practice to improve the efficiency. So, once we are going through the rest of the lectures, I'll keep telling you that, okay, you have to at this point just focus on the mastery. And as we enter into the second phase, that is after a few more months into the preparation, then we can gradually introduce the time aspect also. So like they say, you have to first walk before you start learning. So just like any skill, CLAT success requires a strong foundation, and these initial few months are the point when you develop your foundation. So don't rush through them. Be very patient. So patience is the biggest virtue that takes you to your goal. Okay, perfect your strategy first. I guarantee that the speed will follow naturally. Okay, now now we should understand what this exam is trying to test. Why do we have to understand that? Simple. We should know what examiner is trying to find in you, and then all through the preparation we'll try to develop that in ourselves. So if I have to be very clear, what does a lawyer do? बाल की खाल निकालनी है तुम्हें. ठीक है, so you have to develop that skill. Now these first point I have taken directly from the website of the consortium. So it says the UG CLAT would focus on evaluating the comprehension and reasoning skills and abilities of the candidates. Overall, it is designed to be a test of aptitude and skills that are necessary for a legal education rather than prior knowledge. Though prior knowledge occasionally may be helpful to respond to questions in the current affairs, including general knowledge section. So इन्होंने खुद ये बात clearly बोली है कि prior knowledge is not the priority. It will be helpful. Any kind of knowledge can be helpful, but it's a test of aptitude, something called a presence of mind, that आपके सामने कोई piece of information आई, उस moment आप उसमें कितना दिमाग लगा के उससे कितना ज्यादा से ज्यादा gain कर सकते हैं. So it is basically meant to measure skills that are considered essential for success in a law school. After all, हम सबको law में ही जाना है. So वो जो skills है ना, the reading and comprehension of complex text with accuracy and insight, the organization and management of information, and the ability to draw reasonable inferences from it, the ability to think critically, and the evaluation and analysis of the reasoning and arguments of others. So, like, you are going to face other people who have got the best of reasoning and best of the arguments. You should be able to understand those arguments, because that is the first step. Only then can you find the loopholes and present your own arguments. So this is your primary job, this is your bread and butter. So you have to be able to, get get to the bottom of whatever information that you come across. All right, for example, a client brings you contract full of legal jargons. You need to read it very carefully and find the important details that are hidden inside. Similarly, the CLAT passages are quite tricky. But some information is buried under complex wordings, just like the real legal documents. Your job is to find the meaning quite quickly and accurately. All right, and we learn the techniques of how to do that. Now, let's get to the pattern of examination. So the UG CLAT examination will be a 2-hour test with 120 multiple choice questions. Each will carry 1 mark. There will be negative marking of 0.25 marks, that is 1/4 for every wrong answer. The questions will be divided across 5 subjects. I'm pretty sure most of you would know this, but a couple of few people who do not know, they must know that there is going to be an English language which we are going to work at. There will be current affairs, legal reasoning, logical reasoning, and quantitative techniques. Now, qualification. Candidates who have passed 10 plus 2 or an equivalent examination with a minimum of 45% marks or the equivalent of grade or grade 2, 40% of marks or equivalent in case of candidates to SC/ST PWD category. Candidates, okay, the second aspect is for the CLAT 2025 exam. So 2026, they have not updated on the website. So sorry about that. Now, like I said, there are going to be 120 marks in total. 2 hours is the duration of the examination. It's a MCQ type question paper. 120 questions, 1 mark each. We've talked about it. Now, English language, there will be some 22 to 26 questions. So it is roughly 20% of the whole paper. It's a very, very important section. We'll talk about this section in detail. And the other are current affairs that will have some 28 to 32 questions. That is roughly 25% of the paper. Legal reasoning, 28 to 32 questions, roughly 25% of the paper. Logical reasoning, 22 to 26 questions. That is roughly 20% of the question paper, and quantitative techniques questions, that is some 10 to 14 questions or roughly 10% of the paper. Now, Winston Churchill, he had said that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So the blueprint for exam success is your strategy plan. You have to sharpen your axe first, as we discussed, understand the syllabus, pattern, and weightage of topics. Follow the 80-20 rule. Focus 80% of the efforts on 20% of high impact topics. But this doesn't mean that you have to leave the other topics. But you have to focus a lot on the high impact topics and rest of the topics as well. Now, build a daily study system, plan mock tests, revisions, and week area improvements. How exactly we will do this? We'll talk about it in more detail in the following lectures. You have to use your time wisely, prioritize understanding over memorization, because as the consortium itself has said, that it is the examination of your aptitude and not your prior knowledge primarily. It's important, doesn't mean you don't have to have any prior knowledge. Okay, smart work is valued over hard work. Simulate the real exam. Take timed mock tests under real exam conditions. We'll talk about mocks further in the rest of the slides as well. Now that we have a basic understanding of what CLAT examination looks like and what all qualities it is trying to find in the students or the aspirants, let's get into the section of our concern, that is understanding the English section. Okay. Now, what is the outline of the English section? It will comprise of reading comprehension type questions. Each comprehension will be some 450 to 500 words long. The genre can be fiction or non-fiction. Now, what is fiction? Fiction is something that is not based on the real things, काल्पनिक चीजों पे आधारित. And non-fiction, obviously, as it is clear, it is based on the real incidents or the real stories. So the genre can be either of the two. Now, the passage can be narrative style, it can be economic, based in some history, arts, and literature. I think literature has been a popular category in the past few years. We'll talk about this. History, philosophy, politics, science and technology, sociology, geography, current affairs. Like they can source the passage from any of these fields. It's not limited to any one type. कि politics के बारे में भी वो passage हो सकता है, science के बारे में वो passage हो सकता है, history के बारे में, किसी भी चीज के बारे में. So it's not like you only understand one, two, three subjects and you will be dealing with that. The CLAT examination can throw any type of passage in front of you. Okay. So the English section will have some 22 to 26 questions that will comprise some 20% of the paper. And you have to get at least 20 plus score to get a decent score. And then it depends, like if it's your strength, then definitely you have to get more. But if it is not, so but you have to keep a target at 20, so at least you should be able to get. And if you meticulously follow through the things that I will be telling you all through this series, I am assuring you that you will be able to get that score very easily. Because English section has a very polarized kind of view. Like some of the students find it the easiest and some the most difficult. But the thing is, it is a very foundation kind of section, because if you develop a very good understanding of reading comprehension when we are dealing with the reading comprehension in the English section, it will be immensely helpful when you are solving the reading comprehension in other sections as well. Because after all, like in the previous part we were talking about, it's about testing your ability, how you look at a piece of information and gather the maximum out of it. Okay, so if you develop this skill while practicing the English section, it will be very helpful in other sections as well. So my approach is also going to be very, very comprehensive, that it does not just prepare you for solving English section, but I will try to develop that aptitude in you so that it helps you in your other sections as well. Whatever knowledge you gain, you have to apply it comprehensively. You don't have to have your knowledge compartmentalized in form of section. And as we go ahead in the preparation, we'll try to develop that. Okay. Now, what are the usual challenges in the reading comprehension? So, during the preparation phase, students often face difficulty in retaining attention for long passages. So, like in the initial phase, you will be reading something because you will be reading at a very fast pace. So, by the time you read first few lines and get to the other paragraph, you will have forgotten what you read in the first point. This is one of the problems that the students face. Then limited vocabulary leads to misunderstanding. So sometimes you come across some difficult words that also hampers your concentration, your flow of reading. And sometimes if you misinterpret that word, it will completely change the meaning, and that can prove disastrous for your question. Third, struggle with interpreting complex sentences. So CLAT has this habit of presenting very long sentences, or the sentences full of jargons. It's trying to confuse you, like we talked about uh, complicated legal jargons in a contract. So that kind of thing, complicated legal jargons or complicated jargons, scientific jargons, to just confuse you. But if you are well focused and if you have the right techniques, you will be able to see through those, heavy words or the dense or complex sentences. So we learn how to deal with them. So that is something that the students initially struggle with. And poor time management during practice. So, but like I said, during the initial phase, do not worry about it. If you ace the concepts properly, the time management will not be a problem at a later stage. So you have to understand that when the time management factor will come in. So if you like go step by step, time management will not be an issue for you during the English section. Now, in the examination hall, what are the usual challenges that the students face? Panic when when they are faced with the unfamiliar topic, especially in philosophy. Philosophy is something that a lot of students struggle with, and you guys are young, I understand. A lot of you might not have delved into the philosophy, or some technical passages that have some very technical words that you do not know. But that is precisely what we are going to be prepared for. We are going to be prepared for something new that comes in front of your eye, something that you have never seen. You do not understand a lot of words that are used there, but still with the presence of mind and some carefully cultivated techniques, we will solve them. We will be able to solve them. Those are solvable questions, and that is the presence of mind that is being tested there. So you don't have to panic. We will develop techniques, and if you follow through meticulously, you will not have any problem even with the complex sentences or very heavy vocabulary or very fancy words used in the passage. Okay. Misinterpreting questions, especially inference based ones. So a lot of times students, because again you're just rushing through, so a lot of times students end up misinterpreting the questions. They don't understand what the question is because they've rushed through the question and all those things. So a lot of time in the inference based questions, there are some confusions that might cost you a question. Third, running out of time due to slow reading speed. Again, if you have not practiced enough, you cannot develop a good reading speed in a very small amount of time. And especially if you have to solve questions at the end of it, then you have to have your focus along with the speed. And that can only come with practice. There is no other way about it. We have clarity on that aspect. You cannot leave everything at the end and think that okay, I know I understand the English language. I'm an English medium student, I will be able to do it. No, that's not how it goes. Practice. Without practice, you cannot have your focus plus reading speed. There is no shortcut to that. Okay. And then confusion between similar sounding words in the answer choices. So we'll be talking about homophones, homonyms, and all those things. We will be dealing with them. But again, because you have a lot of nervous energy in the examination hall, you are in a rush. So this is one very common confusion that creates problem for the students in the exam hall. So we will try to tackle these things, that at least we, now that we know these are the challenges, we do not fall for these during the exam. Okay. Now, we'll quickly go through these topics. Do not be intimidated by this long list. Now, I use the word intimidated. Do you know what it means? I'll pause for 3 4 seconds. Can you understand from the context that what I'm talking about, what the word intimidated means? So I'll try to incorporate some heavy words, and I will also tell you the meaning of it. But when you like listen to a word and you do not know its meaning, just pause the video there, and you know what I'm talking about all through it. If you're not sleeping in between, please don't sleep in between. It's very important. So just try to figure out from the context कि इस बारे में बात हो रही है तो जरूर कुछ इस तरीके का मीनिंग होगा. So this will also help you in understanding some word that you don't even know the exact meaning of, but from the context. When we deal with the vocabulary, I'll help you in developing that context based understanding the meaning. But still, this is something that you can start from the this stage as well. Okay. So intimidated means do not be scared by it. Do not be scared with the long list. We are going to very deal with this very smartly. Like these two topics will be clubbed in just in few videos. Again, these are very small topics and these are related also. So once we are dealing with one, the others will also be covered. So do not feel that there are so many topics and how will you do this. Again, this part of speech and everything, we'll do them in very quickly. We'll do them smartly, and it's not like we are gonna do a PhD on each and every topics. Okay, so just don't be intimidated. So, but I'll just quickly read through these topics so you have a rough idea of what we are going to talk about. We'll be doing reading comprehension, verbal ability, vocabulary, synonyms, antonyms, root words, homophones, homonyms, one word substitution, idioms, analogies, paragraph based questions, para jumbles, para completion, para summary, literary devices, common literary terms and their applications, and English grammar. Now, I know a lot of you will be thinking that itna lamba list of English grammar is there, all the parts of speech are here. Koi direct question to aata nahi English grammar se. Yes, you are right. But this grammar is the tool, it's the basic foundation of the language. A lot of times, having an understanding of the grammatical rule helps you solve the other question. And you have to understand that each and every question, each and every mark is very important, because it can take your rank from like uh, one of the best NLUs to out of list. So we have to cover everything. But you just don't worry about it. Again, I'm gonna be very smart about it. I'm gonna give you just the enough amount or just the enough preparation for your examination. You can go on developing it further after you clear the exam once you're in your college. But for now, we cannot completely skip it. We'll smartly cover it. Okay. And the other topics are tenses and verb forms, models, conditionals, phrasal verbs, and determiners. Okay. Now, how will we go about the whole preparation? So, we have seen an overall strategy for the CLAT examination, a strategy for English section. We will start with reading comprehension. In the reading comprehension, I will be first telling you the type of comprehensions, the type of questions that you will be dealing with, the type of traps that will be presented to you, and how you avoid those traps, how you eliminate the wrong options and reach to the right answers. All those things we'll deal with them, and how you manage time when you're reading the comprehension or solving the questions. In the vocabulary, I'll try to give you root words and explain how you can derive meaning from the context, or by understanding the root word, how you can reach the meaning of the word. And again, we'll try to incorporate as many words as possible, looking at previous year questions, so that we also build on our vocabulary gradually all through the preparation. Then grammar, like I said, we'll try to smartly for understand the topics so that we can deal with the question if at all it comes in the examination. Because I remember in some of the sample papers, there have been some direct questions from the grammar as well, but in the examination, there hasn't been any. But again, it's a tool that can help you in solving other questions, so we cannot completely ignore it. We'll solve previous year questions. We'll also do the mock test, and I'll also help you in understanding how to analyze your mock test so that you can identify your weakness and strength. Because once you're studying and you're practicing, you also have to understand that if you're going right or if you're not going right. If you're not going right, where you are going, where exactly are you going wrong, and how to improve that. So it's very important that you give the mock tests regularly, and it's even more important that you analyze them. And how to do it, I'll tell you. Then learning mock analysis, and we'll also be doing the doubt clearing. Okay. Now, law of marginal gains. This is something very important that I want to tell you about the subconscious mind. I think, yes, we should talk about this first. Reptilian mind. Now, do you know what a reptile is? छिपकली पता है, मगरमच्छ पता है, ये सब रेप्टाइल्स हैं, ऐसे तेजी 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 चलते हैं. सो द रेप्टाइलियन माइंड इज कॉल्ड सो. उसको रेप्टाइल इसलिए बोलते हैं बिकॉज इट्स लाइक ऐसे तेजी 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 भागता रहता है, भागता रहता है, भागता रहता है. इट इज द ओल्डेस्ट पार्ट ऑफ योर माइंड, एंड इट डज नॉट वर्क ऑन द थिंग्स दैट यू लर्न. इट वर्क्स ऑन instincts. It's more reactive. You cannot just learn something and you control this reptilian part of mind. और ये तो इतना इतना परेशान कर सकता है ना अगर इसने चाहा. इनफैक्ट जो रात को ख्याल आते हैं कि यार इंग्लिश टेस्ट में वो क्वेश्चन गलत कर दिया था, उसको ये बोल दिया था, इसको ये नहीं बोलना चाहिए था, ऑल दैट इज योर रेप्टेलियन माइंड. वो आपको बहुत परेशान कर सकता है if you just don't try to control it. It can work against you in your exams, because when you are faced with a stressful situation like in an examination hall, or you come across a very complicated long statement in the in the passage, and you feel like अब तो गया, कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा है, ऐसे में it will take you in the loop of I'm to gone, I'm gonna screw this paper, this whole year is gone, and all that, and all those things. A lot of students have faced this. It gives you panic, and once you're panicked, you cannot think clearly. And like I had told you, प्यार के वो तीन शब्द, presence of mind. If it's not there, you will not be able to deal with the question paper. So you have to think very clearly. It will avoid tricky questions because your reptilian mind, again, भाग रहा है छिपकली की तरह. It will avoid tricky yet simple questions because it will just feel like, I'm not able to solve it. I'm not able to solve it. And again, it will stick to ineffective study habits just because they feel comfortable. So it is very, very important to deal with your reptilian mind. How do you train your reptilian mind? You have to practice under exam like conditions. Repetition makes the problem solving feel natural. If like you sit with a problem or with a type of problem, पहले दिन बिल्कुल समझ नहीं आ रहा है, दूसरे दिन भी बिल्कुल समझ नहीं आ रहा है, दो तीन दिन तो उसका ओर छोर कुछ समझ ही नहीं आएगा. You will not be able to understand anything in it. But after 4 5 days, you will be able to see something inside it, and eventually if you keep trying, you will be able to you know get into any fort. You'll be able to solve any problem. Okay. So you have to train your mind gradually. You cannot just immediately train it. ये लंबा process है. You have to break the old habits. You have to replace passive studying with active problem solving. Wo sometimes you might have experienced that you're just reading, 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 and at the end of the paragraph, you've not understood even a single word. That's just passive studying. But you have to engage. हर लाइन के बाद तुमको दिख रहा होना चाहिए that you're gaining something. You understood that line, or like most of it. Maybe if not, even if not the word by word thing. Okay. You have to control stress through breathing and focus techniques. A calm brain works way, way better. So you have to train your subconscious. The more you expose your brain to the logical thinking, the less emotional it becomes under pressure. So emotional का मतलब यही है कि पैनिक करने लगना, मतलब बस भागने की टेंडेंसी, ओ गॉड आई रून्ड द पेपर, ये वो कुछ भी नहीं. So this is something that we will be dealing with. Reptilian mind को control करने के लिए I will try to incorporate some I'll try to structure my lecture in a way that I will try to introduce some heavy words. I'll try to introduce some complicated statements that your mind gets used to looking at them and cracking them. So I can only do this in a limited capacity, but I'll try to introduce that. but you have to keep practicing it even beyond the lectures. So I have decided that I'll open the lecture with a very complicated statement, and then we'll see how to make it easy and how to break through it. So through the series of lecture, you will be able to, some 10, 15, 20, whatever, you will be able to develop the habit to some extent, because just the lecture practice won't help. You'll have to practice at your own end as well, but I'll try to introduce you to this. So I'll try to, throw some fancy words and try to help you to deal with it. I'll try to throw some complicated statements so that you get used to it, कि just, bring it on. कुछ भी कॉम्प्लिकेटेड होगा, आई ट्राई, मैं मेरे को लॉयर बनना है, मैं कुछ ना कुछ रास्ता निकाल लूंगा. यू हैव टू डू इट, बाल की खाल निकाल के मैं पहुंच जाऊंगा. सो वील ट्राई टू डेवलप दैट एबिलिटी, वील ट्राई टू फाइंड, मतलब सबकॉन्शियस माइंड को ढंग से ट्रेन करेंगे कि वो हमारे काम की चीजों के लिए काम आए, सही डायरेक्शन में भागे. ठीक है. सो दैट्स द मीनिंग ऑफ ट्रेन द सबकॉन्शियस माइंड. सो इंग्लिश सेक्शन इसलिए लोगों को कई बार डिफिकल्ट लगता है कि वो लास्ट कुछ दिनों में या कुछ दिनों की प्रिपरेशन का कोई इसमें आउटकम नहीं निकलेगा. आपको डेली कम से कम 50 to 60 मिनट्स उसको देने पड़ेंगे. अब करेंगे क्या? वी हैव टू रीड द न्यूज़पेपर एडिटोरियल्स, द हिंदू या द इंडियन एक्सप्रेस में से आप कोई भी, जो भी आपको ज़्यादा कंफर्टेबल लगता है, आप वो न्यूज़पेपर उठाइए और उसको पढ़ना शुरू करिए. स्टार्ट में भी अगर आपको नहीं मन कर रहा है, शुरुआत में बोरिंग लगता है, इफ यू लव स्पोर्ट्स, स्टार्ट विद द स्पोर्ट्स सेक्शन, शायद थोड़ा बेहतर लगेगा. रीड द मैगजीन्स, रीड नॉवेल्स या ब्लॉग्स, जो भी सेक्शन, मतलब जो भी आपका इंटरेस्ट एरिया. फैशन में इंटरेस्ट है, फैशन ब्लॉग्स पढ़ो, बट एटलीस्ट स्टार्ट विद इट. एक बार रीडिंग की डेवलप हो जाएगी ना हैबिट, देन यू विल जस्ट, इट विल बी लाइक ईटिंग, कि जैसे खाने का होता है ना, कि हाँ खा रहे हैं, अच्छा लग रहा है, टेस्ट भी आ रहा है, पेट भी भर रहा है. सेम विल हैपन विद द रीडिंग. योर माइंड विल क्रेव फॉर लाइक कि अच्छा वो जो नॉवेल पढ़ रहे थे, अब नेक्स्ट क्या हुआ, या वो ब्लॉग पढ़ रहे थे. तो वो चीज है. सो जस्ट ट्राई टू रीड daily, kuch bhi, to start with your favorite sections, and eventually we'll try to incorporate more serious things. Okay. Besides reading, you can also listen to videos, TED Talks, that will also give you some motivation and some great ideas. Philosophy videos, because philosophy is something that students often face problem with. So if you watch philosophy video first, it will give you a lot of mental clarity for your life. And then it will also help you in understanding the philosophy based passages that you will come across in the examination. And then science concept videos also, like if there is some sort of news in the newspaper, and like for example Higgs boson or any other discovery that's in the news, try to understand the concept. So if there is any paragraph, any passage about that science news, you'll be able to deal with it. So those jargons you'll be very familiar with. So that's also something that you can watch. And then podcasts, you can listen to podcasts, that's also very important. And then regular vocabulary building, क्योंकि एक दिन, दो दिन, तीन दिन में आप कितने वर्ड्स याद कर लोगे, और वो याद भी तो नहीं रहेंगे ना. आप 100 वर्ड्स, 500 वर्ड्स अगर एक दिन में देख भी लोगे, हाउ मच रिटेंशन विल बी देयर. सो दिस इज गोइंग टू बी अ वेरी regular thing. Like I said, in all my lectures I will try to incorporate some vocabulary, so that just to introduce you to the regular vocabulary building activity. But that is not sufficient. You have to do this thing at your own end as well. Vocabulary, passage, reading, these have to start from the first phase, because if you don't do it, eventually बहुत late हो जाएगा. These are something that work on marginal gains. थोड़ा 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 gain करके ही एक इनको build कर सकते हैं. But trust me, if you manage to do it ना, this will have phenomenal results for all over CLAT in all the sections. So I cannot emphasize enough how you have to go about the English section all through the preparation. You have to devote some time to it daily, because otherwise it won't be very helpful. Last minute preparation just doesn't help. Okay. So this is about it. And from the next lecture, we'll start with the first topic, that is reading comprehension and verbal ability. All right. Thank you.